Dr. Bernie Matchin, our president at Florida, and Jeremy Foley. The confidence they have in me to take over this program, I'm really excited. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces out there after being in the Southeast for a long time and our conference for a long time, and I appreciate the job you guys do in supporting college football, the SEC, and the University of Florida. Thank you so much. It's an exciting time to be a football coach. We're all undefeated right now, and we haven't made any poor decisions on third down and those sort of things, but it's an exciting time. Really pleased with the progress of our football team. Being hired in December, having the opportunity, which Urban allowed me to come to bowl practice and watch our football team work and practice. Very appreciative of him and the insight he's given to me in being the head coach at University of Florida. My email is full of suggestions from the Gator Nation. I've chose to listen to Urban a little bit more than anybody else, and but he's really been good in this transition, and I appreciate him. He's been first class. We had a good 5-week all-season program. I don't like to use the word retained. I hired Mickey Marotti to be our strength coach. He's outstanding. I think that's the most important hire on your staff, is to hire that guy. He's the one that's going to convey that message every day, the toughness, all of the things you want done, and he does it at a high level. We had a good 5-week off-season program, went into spring. Installation on both sides of the ball I thought went very well. Identifying playmakers on both sides of the ball. Feel comfortable with our talent level. We do have some deficiencies as far as our numbers are concerned. I am concerned about that, but that's part of it. I don't think anybody's feeling sorry for the Gators for sure. But I feel good with some playmakers on both sides that certainly can help us. I told our players on April 9th after the spring game, we will be defined over the next 4 months on how we work. Because of NCAA rules, as coaches, we can't be involved. Our strength staff can, and all the reports I hear from our players that we've done an outstanding job of working, of creating some confrontation, creating some chaos, developing leadership and toughness in our unit, and we're really coming together well. So I'm excited about August 5th when that comes up. Very pleased about our staff. I think the worst thing you can do in a leadership position is be something you're not. I'm a defensive coach. I coach special teams. I hired Charlie Weiss to run our offense. I'm very pleased with where we are right now with Charlie. Philosophically being on the same page, the development of quarterbacks speaks for itself. Development of offenses speaks for itself. His expertise in play calling, I really enjoyed going through spring with him and seeing that, and then having him in the staff room is important to me. This guy's been a head coach before. Fall back on some of his experiences really has been a joy for me. Dan Quinn, hired him as a defensive coordinator. Guy that I worked with the Miami Dolphins, I think is as good a front coach I've been around from a fundamental technique standpoint. Pressure ideas and what he brings to the table. Again, philosophically being on the same page. DJ Durkin, there'll be a lot of continuity in our special teams play. I hired him again to be at University of Florida. He did a great job at Stanford for Jim Harbaugh and with Urban for a year. And he does a great job with our teams. But our staff, are really pleased with the direction we're headed by design. We've got about close to 40 years of NFL experience. I thought that was important. When a young man comes to the University of Florida, he's going to get a great education. We're one of 2 schools in the SEC that the Association of American Universities recognizes with the 60 schools in the country for an elite degree, elite education, and that's what we're going to provide a young man. He needs to win a championship. The fun's in winning. Football's a tough, hard game, and we certainly understand the expectation of Florida and what's been established before us. And the last thing is to hopefully have that opportunity to play in the NFL. I didn't want any projections coming out of our scheme. I wanted guys to see themselves playing in that scheme and certainly transferring to Sunday if that were made available. To update you on any roster situations, Naron Ball obviously was diagnosed this past spring with a vascular condition that he was born with. Very fortunate our medical staff recognized it. Very fortunate to have Shands right there in Gainesville to handle that. Talked to Naron Monday. He has been in Colorado at a spiritual development camp. He's very healthy. He's doing fine. He will not physically be a part of our football team as we progress here in the fall. We will reevaluate his status as a football player in January or February of next year. But the number one priority is he's healthy, and that's the most important thing. Jeff Demps right now is running with the U.S. national team in Italy. And Jeff and I have had great conversations all summer. He is a young man that had a national championship 60-meter, won a national championship as a team with our indoor track team, had a great outdoor season, didn't perform as well as he wanted to in the NCAAs, but wanted to run with the U.S. national team. He got that opportunity in Italy. I've granted him permission to do that. He and I will meet next week to see when he will join our football team in August, and I'll update you once he and I speak and talk about that. But I expect him to be a part of our football team. We've got 3 fine student athletes we brought from Florida today. Deontay Thompson from Belgrade as a receiver is going to be a senior. All of these 3 young men will graduate in December. Really pleased. Deontay and Quentin Dunbar were 2 guys that really had explosive springs as far as receivers were concerned. It could stretch the field vertically. Johnny Brantley will be our quarterback from Ocala, played for his father, who's a former Gator. John Brantley down at Trinity in Ocala. Of course, his uncle Scott was a great linebacker for the Gators back in the late 70s. Really excited about John. He had a great offseason, had a really good spring practice. Charlie's got a lot of confidence in him. Our players have tremendous confidence in John. I think what we're doing now scheme-wise fits him a little bit more from a skill set standpoint, and really pleased with his progress. Willie Green from right here in Birmingham, Spain Park High School, is a senior and a guy that really had a great offseason, can be position variety, do some different things for us. I'm real pleased with where his progress is. And with that, I'll just go ahead and open it up for any questions you have.
Okay,
Coach, sorry to belabor the point on Demps, but just to be clear with some of the rumors circulating, are you not sure at this moment whether or not he'll definitely be playing for you in the fall?
Based on our conversations, he'll be back. I don't deal in rumors, and I don't deal in message boards. Right. I don't know any good ball coaches that do that.
What are some of the factors that could go either way? There just seemed like you left the door open for it in your opening statement that you still need to have a conversation with him when he returns.
Well, he's in Italy right now, and when I deal with people, I like to deal eyeball to eyeball with them and talk to them face to face. And so that's been hard to do with some of the traveling he's been doing. And I ain't never been to Italy.
How does it feel to be a Georgia guy coaching the University of Florida?
I'm a Florida guy.
I will go to the back. Go ahead, Lee.
Coach,
middle.
Back here. You've come from outside the SEC from the last job back to the SEC. What are the biggest differences that you see talent-wise in the SEC compared to the other schools?
You know, I think the biggest difference in our conference, in my opinion, is the defensive line position. You know, top to bottom in our league, you know, you watch every week when you turn on an SEC film, there's going to be some dominating players up front, not just in 1 or 2 teams, but from top to bottom in our league. That's the biggest difference in our league and other leagues. Other leagues, there's 2 or 3 teams that consistently, year in, year out, are going to have dominating fronts. We're a line of scrimmage league. That's why I think you see a little bit more of conventional offensive sets in our league to protect the quarterback because of the defensive linemen and the one-on-one matchups that are created. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, we can go front left, Bob.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Having played at Georgia and coached at different schools in the league, how much has that prepared you for being your first head coaching job in the league? And is it odd at all to play, you know, your alma mater and other places where you coached in the league?
Well, again, I think it helps from a standpoint of understanding what you're getting into when you go to, you know, Tiger Stadium, when you go to Jordan-Hare, when you go to some of these places and play. You understand what you're getting into, number one, and number two, week in, week out, understanding the competition level. You know, they're really good. They're really well coached, very talented teams. And I think, you know, even Urban made a comment to me his first year at Florida. He goes, you know, you're kind of, wow. I mean, it's every week. And it is. And unless you've been through it, you don't really understand the competition level week in, week out of what you're dealing with.
You know, as far as playing, you know, teams where you used to coach.
Well, again, I had great experiences everywhere I've been, and you know, top-notch people as far as from administration to other coaches. Obviously, players have moved on, but you know, I've got great memories from being at other schools, and whether it was LSU, whether it was Auburn, you know, as a player at Georgia, you know, great experience at all those places.
All right, let's go to Ivan back there. Ivan.
Yep.
Let's get him in it. Let's get him.
Ivan, we've had a lot of discussion. I've set really the first 22 practices are set for fall camp with obviously in pencil. depending on some guys getting banged up here and there. I think it's an interesting balancing act. In our league, it's such a physical league. You've got to prepare for the toughness of our league, especially on both lines of scrimmage. You've got to get in that physical toughness, that hitting condition, what I call. You've got to get your guys ready for the physicality of our league. With that being said, we can't afford any injuries up front. So I've got to do a good job of balancing that throughout fall camp. And again, that's something is going to kind of be practice by practice, although we're prepared through practice 22 at this point.
All right, we'll go here in the center.
Coach, right here, the topic of oversigning really dominated a lot of the spring, and not all of the coaches agreed with the presidents, with the legislation that came out of that. I just wondered what your thoughts on that were.
Well, our policy at the University of Florida is we don't oversign and we don't gray shirt, and it hasn't really affected our success from that standpoint. We've won 2 national championships since 2006, a third in 1996. And that's our policy at the University of Florida.
Okay, we'll go front down here in third row.
Yeah, Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Coach, I talked to Terry Bowden the other day, and he was talking about your days as a grad assistant at Auburn. What do you remember about getting your start in coaching and what you learned from Coach Bowden?
Mike, I think that you look back and first of all, as a graduate assistant, when you just come out of playing, you realize how little you knew as a player. That's the first thing that'll strike you, and then just how valuable that learning experience was. To work for a defensive coordinator like Wayne Hall, like Bill Oliver, and to be able to sit in those meetings and just my father always told me, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, you ought to listen twice as much as you talk. And to be able to listen and learn through those guys, and then everywhere I've been, just to be a sponge and just take it all in and understand there's different ways of doing it. There's not one way to do it. There's a lot of ways to be successful, and understand that each situation is different. A lot of people have said, well, you just kind of plug in the way you did it here, you'll be successful. That's not always the case. You're dealing with a different costume of characters there. There's a different backgrounds, different people, different places. But again, what a valuable learning experience for me, especially just coming from playing.
Okay, we have time for 2 more. We've got these 2 here, so we'll start with Ron and then get Dave.
Ron Higgins of Memphis. How long were you willing to be a coach in waiting, and what did you think of the title when they gave it to you?
Well, I was very honored that Coach Brown and DeLost Dodds and Bill Powers thought that much of me to be the next head coach at Texas, and I was very appreciative of that. Texas is a special place. Austin's a great town. I was looking forward to that opportunity when that happened, and I was humbled by the opportunity. When Jeremy Foley called to express his interest in the University of Florida, I grew up in Gainesville. I'm from the SEC, and it was just, at the end of the day, it's Florida. I wasn't out looking for another job. I was very content where we were, very upset and disappointed with the season we had. We needed to play better on defense and get more turnovers and do a lot of things better that we didn't do. But when Jeremy Foley calls from University of Florida, you listen.